And welcome into the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire, our second quarter episode this week, where we're going to be breaking down 5A and 4A playoffs. We're also going to be naming our Farm Families of Mississippi Player of the Week. I'm your host, Breck Riley, voice of the Kosciuszko Whippets. Want to remind you that this second quarter is brought to you by Atmos Energy. Call 811 before you dig. And Atmos isn't going to know what to do at my house. So I keep turning my heat on and turn off. Turn on and turn off. Turn on, turn, because it's Mississippi. Like, what is this guy doing at his house? But yeah, that's kind of how it is in Mississippi. We got the guys with us. Brandon Davis, the voice of the Warren Central Vikings, and we have Jared Schatz, voice of the Germantown Mavericks. Earlier this week, we went over 7A and 6A. Now we'll look at 5A, and for like the fifth week in a row, my bracket, it just says West Point. That's all it says. I mean, it's just green wave everywhere, all over everything, and it is just each week. It's just like who gets the chance to be run over by West Point. And this week it's going to be Pontotoc, but we'll go back and look and see how we arrived at West Point. Got the win over Vicksburg, 42-19. No surprise there. Brandon Davis had a big sigh of relief after that 7-0 score update came across his phone, and he thought we were all about to go to get some mint chocolate chip ice cream for him to eat a gallon of. But then West Point decided, we'll turn it on. Here, maybe an upset of the week in 5A is Pontotoc and Lanier. Pontotoc gets the win 27-0 all year long. We've been high on Lanier, but they're not able to make it out of the first round. Cleveland Central and Lafayette played a great ball game, but Cleveland Central's moving on. They get the win 35-28. And rounding out the north half, it is Holmes County with a 36-28 win over New Hope. Jared Schatz, what sticks out to you about North in round one?
To say Vicksburg putting up a bit of a fight with West Point. I know 42-19 is not really close, but when you know the animal that is West Point, it is close, especially for a Vicksburg team that didn't win a ball game a year ago. Hats off to the Gators, man, and Brandon called it about that team would go up there and fight. Well, they did. That stands out. And then what happened to the L, man? What happened to the L? Come on, man. Like Lanier, and look, hats off to Coach Kelly. They had a great year. I'm a little surprised Pontotoc shut them out 27-0. Congratulations, Pontotoc. You get a beautiful trip to West Point, Mississippi.
At least maybe they can go early and eat at Anthony's, right?
Yeah, I mean,
get around at Old Waverly, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, go to Old Waverly, go get you some Anthony's, take in the sights and sounds of West Point.
Stop by Mossy Oak Outlet.
Yeah, there's actually a lot to do in West Point.
I went through there this week. I went through there going to Itawamba, so I know what's all there in West Point.
Yeah, you sent me a video. It was very scenic. Awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenery there in West Point, and Pontotoc should know about that scenery there in West Point. But Brandon Davis, what stood out to you about the north half of the bracket?
Yeah, I had a connection to that West Point Vicksburg game. Both their head coaches are Warren Central alumni, both played at Warren Central. Chris Lacey at Vicksburg, and of course Brett Morgan at West Point. I'm very proud of Chris. As Jared said, they went up there and they fought their tails off. Just didn't have enough horses to go up against what was at West Point, but they did take a 7-0 lead, and they weren't afraid of them. That's the big thing. They could have easily turned around once they got to start one, came back home, but they went up there and fought. And that was a winless Vicksburg team from last year. Pretty much the same team went up there and did what they did. Lanier, I think it was more of the situation with Lanier. The playoffs are so different. And, you get a little tight and you've never been in that situation. You don't know how to win. Same goes for a coaching staff too. Learning how to prepare your kids to win like that, it's tough. But yeah, I don't think Baylor Dampier is going to have any problem at all going over to West Point. I know that probably not the matchup he wanted this week, but to be the best, you got to beat the best. So congratulations to Pontotoc. That was only a 6-win team when they came into the playoffs here. So kudos and congratulations to them for taking care of Lanier last Friday night.
Yeah, so that sets up West Point and Pontotoc. And another one's going to be a rematch. Holmes County and Cleveland Central. These teams, very familiar with each other. So that's going to be a good one. I believe Cleveland Central won that one. Was a couple of scores first time around.
48-34. They got the win, and I believe that ball game was at Holmes County. That's those two are going to do it again. Those were two close ball games. Cleveland Central beats Lafayette by a touchdown, 35-28. And Holmes County Central 36-28, and now the rematch. And there's going to be a lot of talent all over the field, especially on that Holmes County side. Can they get their revenge? It'd be a good time to do it and punch your ticket to North State.
Yeah, I would like to see. I mean, either one of those teams. Just nothing against Pontotoc, but just assuming West Point moves on, West Point versus Cleveland Central or West Point versus Holmes County Central. We've said all season long those were the two that we thought maybe in the North could give West Point the best ball game. It looks like we're going to get our chance to see, maybe, assuming West Point wins.
Look, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves, boys. I mean, Pontotoc did put 13 points up on West Point back early in the season. They have seen that offense. I know West Point put 50 on them, but they have seen that offense. And does this need to be the mint chocolate chip challenge again this week? And do I need to say I'm not doing a gallon because that's kind of gluttonous, and I'm trying.
Why don't we pick another game? I mean, you can't have West Point.
Come on now.
Why?
No, I mean I'm not being gluttonous, and I am on a diet, by the way. I don't know if y'all can tell. Nobody can, but I'm willing to go up against and say if Pontotoc can knock off West Point, I'll eat a pint or two of mint chocolate chip ice cream. What do you think? Y'all gonna take that challenge, or because it's West Point after all, right? Write it down. I'll say
a paper plate.
It is a paper plate. That's all I could find to write on today.
Not even the expensive paper plates is the.
No, this is a paper plate. Look, you got to have like 7 of them
just to make one.
We cheap in my house. We get the paper plates.
Hey, look.
We were talking. Did y'all not do that in trigonometry? Did y'all have a paper plate and put sine, cosine? Am I the only one that did that?
Even in Greene County, we had normal 8.5 by 11 paper. I mean, I don't know what y'all had up in Atala County, but you
can eat on it, you can write on it. A little fan, like you go to church. The church revival fan right there.
Yeah, but the West Point, you better be on the lookout. I'm gonna tell you maniacs, Pontotoc's coming after you this week. Going
with West Point, it's like saying if someone beats Michael Jordan in the NBA Finals, I'll do this, right?
That's exactly.
You're really betting.
Man, go out on a limb, Davis. Man,
there is a probability.
That much. We'll get to the probability. We'll get to the probability here in a minute.
But I'll tell you this: these Holmes County and Cleveland Central guys. Going back to that game, Holmes County's scoring a little bit better than Cleveland Central. Cleveland Central's defense is really good.
Right,
they're a good ball club. That is going to be one of the games of the week and all of Mississippi.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good one. And, those two teams not too far apart. Lexington and Cleveland aren't too far apart. And so I imagine it'll be a big game there over in Bolivar County for that one. But we'll jump down to the south. Brookhaven had no problem taking out Northeast Jones 55-6. Wayne County, War Eagle. We talked about them last week. What were they going to do? Were they going to get in, and were they going to win? They did. They beat South Jones 34-10. And then on the bottom half of that bracket, it was the mascot matchups. The Tomcats versus the Bobcats, and it was the Tomcats that came out ahead, and then the Tornadoes versus the Tornadoes, the Mad Tornado is the one that got the win there. Laurel won over Purvis 39-3. So, Jared, in the South, what are you looking at here? I think you were the one that was talking about Wayne County last week.
There's always one or two teams, guys, that they just come out of left field. Davis, you said they didn't get their first win until when?
Like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, they didn't get their first
win of the year.
Like October 17th, their first win. There were 3 wins going to that game against South Jones. I don't understand that at all. It's just it's crazy.
It doesn't make sense, but I think we talked about it last week that Wayne County could they come to life and knock off South Jones? Well, not only did they knock them off, they whipped them 34-10. Now you get a Brookhaven team that has been like a wave, man. It's got its peaks and its troughs. They're up and down, but they got a big win over Northeast Jones, 55-6. watch out. The good thing for Brookhaven is you're looking and you're saying, well, they're not going to catch us by surprise. You can get the kids' attention a little bit more after they, pull off an upset. You can say, look, you don't want to be the second one in a row. So that's big for Brookhaven, for those kids and those coaches to be able to say, look, guys, this isn't a bad football team. Meanwhile, for Stone and Laurel could be a fantastic ball game. It could be a really good ball game. Laurel does this every year under Coach Ernest, man. They play a mean non-district schedule. They haven't fared very well with it, but his passing attack takes a while. He is a lot of coaches in the state of Mississippi love the way that his passing skeleton works. He is really a good passing game coordinator. Obviously, he's the head coach, but he loves to throw the football. It takes a while for that offense and that timing to gel, and it's doing it again this year. But you look at Stone, man. I mean, that's a team that won Region 4. They whipped Summerall 35-7, a Summerall team that had a pretty good year. That could be a fantastic matchup.
We were just making fun of Wayne County for not winning their first game until October 17th. Guess when Laurel won their first game? October 17th. They beat Natchez. They were 0-6 going into that ball game on October 17th, and they went on a run. I went a 4-game run, and of course they won. They beat Purvis last week. But yeah, so you teams out there that are struggling in non-region play, there are 2 teams deep in the playoffs now that didn't get their first win till mid-October. So keep the faith, my friends.
Yeah, so that's what the 5A bracket looks like, and we'll take a look at what the numbers, the ones and zeros, say. The probability, if you're just new or just found the podcast, basically what this numbers is, it's a model that Jake Wimberly put out that has a probability to win the state championship, win it all, and each week it changes. It takes into account the teams that are left and everything like that. So for 5A, no surprise here. West Point. This is the highest percentage by far that we've seen anywhere. 42.34% for West Point to win the whole shebang. After that, it's Brookhaven at 20.7%. Then you got another big drop off that likes Stone at 11.53%. Then Holmes County at 7.8%. Cleveland Central at 6.56%. And then rounding out the bottom, it's Pontotoc, Laurel, and Wayne County. Guys, I don't think there's any surprises here, really. I mean, we kind of all think West Point and Brookhaven probably the favorites.
Can't put my finger on Stone. I'm anxious to see what they do this week against Laurel. That's going to be a great game, but they are so quietly good down in the south part of the state. I mean, they were very close. I know they did have a bad loss. They lost 13-0 to George County. They lost 21-3 to St. Martin, but they only lost like by a point to Poplarville. So this is a good team, guys. And, they're so hard. It's so hard to put a finger on them. Like I said, good win over Summerall 35-7. I'm anxious to see what they're able to do to Laurel, but don't be surprised if we see Stone County knocking off Brookhaven when the dust settles and they're in Starkville as well. But I'm intrigued by this team.
I agree. I love Stone, but just mainly because of the
Tomcat name.
I've said it 1,000 times on the podcast. Stone Tomcat sounds like a wrestling name. It's just it would be a great name for a wrestler. But Jared, does anything stand out to you about 5A?
Yeah, Stone, I guess the Tomcats are very quiet on their feet, man. You don't hear them coming because honestly, they're the quietest district champs we have had this year, no doubt. And I know, they're down on the coast, but we keep up with the coast, but this is a football team. I think it's the George County loss. I think that's the one that George County, they just did not have a good year. So right. I think that's the one that makes you kind of, your eyes open a little bit on that. Holmes County, man, all the talent in the world. I know they're sitting there at number 4 based on the rankings. I'm actually just surprised to see Stone ahead of them. Cleveland Central beat Holmes County. I know the computer's kind of iffy on that. We've talked about that, but they did beat Holmes County. So you would think they might be a hair ahead, but maybe I don't know. I mean, it's hard to beat a team twice, so it's all going to play itself out as those two are going to tango this week. Pontotoc ahead of Laurel. I think it's just because Laurel just doesn't have that many wins. I think that's probably what that's about. And then Wayne County at the bottom, but I'd say it's pretty accurate for the most part. Yeah. I'd say this one's got it for the most part. I would probably flip a Holmes County and a Stone and maybe Cleveland Central and Holmes County, and that's about it.
Yeah. And as we said, it's all West Point with almost a 50% chance there to win the championship. Well, give your business the home field advantage with C Spire end-to-end business solutions, already serving 49 states. You get the technology you need today at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired. So let's wrap up on 7A, 6A, and 5A. We're going to take a look at 4A. They've already played a couple of rounds of playoffs. When we come back, we're moving on to the third round of the postseason with the guys in 4A. So we'll step aside for a break. You're listening to the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire.
Elegance is in the details. Pine Straw, America's premium longleaf pine straw subscription, ensures your landscape stays pristine season after season. Precision edging, flawless installation, because your home deserves nothing less. Pine Straw, America.
Delicious, savory barbecue doesn't happen by accident, and great wings don't happen by accident either. Whether you're heating up the smoker or firing up the grill, the award-winning crafted in Mississippi finishing sauces and marinades of the Oxford Falls makes every meal a masterpiece and every bite unforgettable. The Oxford Falls helps make every mouth-watering meal one to remember. Shop now at theoxfordfalls.com and get free shipping on orders over $100.
Every job starts with the right equipment. At Empower Rental Group, we've got what it takes to get you moving fast. Empower Rental Group has it all to get the job, large or small, done right. From pickup to delivery, we're your trusted local rental partner. Rent online at renterg.com. That's renterg.com. Or come by and talk to our friendly team today. Empower Rental Group, built for the job.
Got 5:10 to go in the ballgame. Robinson, he'll pull it, keep it himself. Tyson makes a man miss. There goes Tyson Robinson. Tyson Robinson down the sideline. 20, 10. Tyson cuts it back in. Touchdown, Pizza Man. Tyson Robinson cuts slices all the way to the end zone. Touchdown, Bulldog.
And welcome back into the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire as we continue our trek through the postseason and taking a look at 4A. The 4A bracket, as they've already played 2 games, so it's third round of the postseason for those guys. And we've talked about it a lot. This is always a very competitive region, and it showed you this past week with some close ball games. They are mainly in the south part of the state. In the north, Corinth had no problems with Senatobia. That was a little bit of a shock to me. Not that Corinth won, but that they were able to shut down a high-powered Senatobia offense and shut them out 42-0. Kosciuszko, no problem with Itawamba. That was a 40-14 win. Clarksdale, the grinded out 26-8 win over Houston. And Louisville, no problem with New Albany, 50-22. And so sticking around in the north, I'll go first, talk about Kosciuszko and Itawamba. Kosciuszko, no real problems there. They had some issues early, some snaps, high snaps. You maybe amped up just a little bit, but once Kosciuszko got rolling, they let it 14-0 at half. And the biggest turning point in the game is they scored with maybe a minute left in the end of the first half, and then turned around and took a 6.5-minute drive and scored on the opening drive of the third quarter. And then Itawamba's team is all run. They run out of the pistol, a lot of trap, a lot of counter. So once they were down 3 scores, going to be really hard for Itawamba to come back. But Kosciuszko's defense did a good job of corralling that good running back Xavier Waters. And so guys, looking at the 4A North, does anything stand out about you? I think it mostly played out how we thought, except for maybe Corinth shutting out Senatobia.
Yeah,
Brandon Davis.
Yeah, I think it all played out. I think it all played out the way we wanted to. Corinth, I like Corinth. Pat Crump, a great back. He's been our player of the week. And D. Watson has also been our player of the week for Senatobia. Maybe the 2 better backs in the entire state. A lot of people aren't talking about that went head-to-head against each other the other night. But that game at Corinth. I believe that game was at Corinth, right? Yeah. So, home field advantage. The Corinth defense is very stout. They beat Amory 40-0 in the opening round. So, yeah, I like that. I mean, that sounds about right. I love Kosciuszko, and I'm not just saying that because Uncle Breck's here. I think that really this is Kosciuszko's year out of the North. Louisville, they beat New Albany. New Albany's a good team. That's impressive being able to do that to New Albany. But Louisville, I guess we're kind of bored with them, and that's no disrespect to them. It's just we expect them to be there. But Clarksdale, and Clarksdale's a team we talked about it. Didn't Jake refer to them as like the Nebraska of high school football? Them coming back and having a strong year. And but yeah, this is kind of what we expected as far as the Final Four goes. Maybe Corinth being a surprise, but the other three, yeah, that's about right.
Any thoughts from you? Shots?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised Louisville won that ball game as big as they did over New Albany. I mean, Shettles and that crew, that's a good offense, man. Good New Albany ball club. A little bit surprised by that. I mean, that was a team that was 481 points on the year, so they could score. And for Louisville to beat them 50-22, I thought that was a bit of a surprise. I mean, anything Louisville does is not really a surprise. But I thought that game might be a hair closer. Clarksdale, man, I mean, that's the team that's, I know Kosciuszko, I think, had more expectations coming into the year than they normally do. Clarksdale, because they have, not had that recent success, they're kind of sneaking up on people. They used to not do that, obviously, because they're Clarksdale, but I think this is going to be a fantastic matchup with Louisville. This is an old school matchup, man. Louisville and Clarksdale. This could be a lot of fun. So, talking Kosciuszko, Corinth. Corinth, what a big win over Senatobia. Yeah, I didn't see that coming, but I just, man, with Wade and crew with Kosciuszko, I just think that the Whippets may be too much for Corinth, but we'll see, man. Those are two really good matchups in the North.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Kosciuszko's defense, Caden Wade and offense, they get a lot of credit, as they should. I mean, they're putting up 40 points a game, but the defense, they did the past few weeks just really been able to chalk down. Rosafort came in with its high-powered offense. Kosciuszko holds them minimal gain. Same for Itawamba. And, so Corinth, they do run a little version of the wing T, I believe. And so could be a little bit different. And Pat Crump, just a great running back there. But Louisville and Clarksdale, probably Louisville the favorite there. But I tell you, don't underestimate Clarksdale. They run that same kind of Rosafort style single wing stuff where they can keep you on the sideline. They can keep the Louisville offense on the sideline and make it to where, you got to get Jernigan going. And so that's an interesting matchup there. That's what makes Clarksdale so good, is they can control the clock and to keep it going. So, 4A North got a couple of good matchups. We look at the South. This is where all the crazy and the fun games were this past week. Leake Central and Macomb, an absolute barn burner. Macomb gets the 1-point win, 41-40 over the Gators. And then Forest and Poplarville was a close one. Forest led for most of the game. That was a rematch of the South State Championship game last year. Forest maybe led most of the game, back and forth most of the game, and then Poplarville pulls away. And then down in the South, this is the one that Columbia and Newton County, they were going back and forth, trading blows. Columbia has to win right there at the very end of the ball game to get the win, 27-22. And Pass Christian got a win over Morton, 49-22. So you're looking at Macomb and Poplarville. That's a rematch. And then you're looking at Columbia and Pass Christian, guys. So what stands out about the South? Jared, we'll go to you first.
Well, I mean, everybody was saying Columbia was untouchable, and they had to win that ball game at the end over Newton County. Fantastic clip we saw of that one. We should have it on the podcast. That was a Columbia team. A lot of us had already said, they may already have the South wrapped up, but watch out. And here comes the Pass Christian team. Good quarterback down there. I mean, that's a tremendous matchup. A big win for Pass Christian over Morton, and so they'll now fight with Columbia. Going, a little bit further north, Poplarville and Forest, man. Yeah, rematch from last year, South State. we knew that ball game would be close. Just the way those two teams are. Force and their defense, man, they had no answer for Poplarville, but their offense woke up to make it a ball game. But Poplarville just too much. Ty Keys and crew, we knew they would get geared up. They do it every year this time in the playoffs. But Macomb and Leake Central, man, 41-40. I don't think many of us saw that one.
I think Leake was up 21-0 at one point. They were up. They were up a lot, and then Macomb was able to come back. And Macomb's been sort of one of the favorites in 4A South all season long. But Leake Central had a great season. That's their first year to ever host a playoff game and win their district. So hats off to them. But Macomb had a little bit too much.
Yeah, Macomb already beat Poplarville this year as well, right?
Mm-hmm, they did.
Yeah,
won 35-34.
Yeah.
So that is a good one. So Brandon Davis, what about you? What are you looking at in the South?
I love 4A. I think statewide in 4A, maybe the most depth of any classification that we have. Is so hard to pick and so much parity and so many good teams, especially in the South. I think there's more depth in the South than there is in the North in 4A, and the North is good as well. Looking at this matchup, Macomb, Poplarville, we saw that. It's going to be a rematch from earlier in the season. We just talked about that. Macomb's defense concerns me just because they do give up a lot of points. They gave up 26 points to Greene County and then 40, obviously, to Leake Central last week. They're going to have to tighten that up. And, in order to make it out of the South, I like Poplarville. I know they just continue to get disrespected, but you look at their playoff run, scored 49 opening round against, Forest County. And then last week scored 43. So scoring over 40 points a ball game in the playoffs, that's pretty good. And then you've got a Macomb defense that has struggled. They might have won their games, but they're allowing a lot of points. Columbia, I think they were sleepwalking. Newton County is a good team. Of course, what they did to Mendenhall in the first round. I just think Columbia was probably sleepwalking and needed a little bit of motivation. They got it with the Hail Mary win, and then Coach Bilderback is going to. I would not want to be in practice down at Columbia starting tomorrow. I know they're going to get some eye openings, but Pass Christian, I love their quarterback, Paris Trevelyan. He is one of the better quarterbacks in the state. The thing that concerns me about him is completion percentage is 54%. And, I know people are rolling their eyes at me at that, but, he's thrown for 2,500 yards, 33 touchdowns, but he's throwing a lot. Pass Christian's run game, you need to have a run game in the playoffs, especially against Columbia. To get where you need to get. So that concerns me about Pass Christian, but to me, that's going to be a fun game to see how it plays out between, Columbia and Pass Christian.
Yeah. I was thinking about Columbia when I was getting the score updates and everything. It reminded me of, Rocky IV, right? When, Rocky finally cuts Ivan Drago and his trainer tells him, see, he's not a machine.
He bleeds.
He's a man. He can bleed. Mm-hmm. Kind of how I was thinking about Columbia, because they have shown no signs of any sort of weakness all year long, but Newton County able to put up a good fight there. But let's take a look at the numbers and see what Jake's model says, who has the best probability to win 4A. And this is a close one at the top. Columbia coming in 25.54%. Then you got Kosciuszko right there with them, 24.63%. And then right after that, you got Clarksdale at 11.81. Then Macomb at 11.47. And Corinth rounds out the top five at 7.65. And then you have Louisville, Poplarville, and Pass Christian. And guys, for the first time, I think that as Brandon talked about, it being the deepest one, you're not surprised if any of these teams go on and could win the championship. That's kind of what I'm taking away from it.
No, I agree, but I can tell you that model, this graphic will be passed around the football complex at both Poplarville and Louisville, because they are not going to like where the computer spit them out at. But no, I mean, these are all legitimate teams. I mean, this, Brandon said it, the parity in this league, in this classification, is unmatched by any other.
Yeah, any of these can go up and win. And that's not just coach speak to kind of get you guys excited. That is the truth of the matter. I don't like And I don't know why the model doesn't like Louisville, having them down where they are at 7.5%. I mean, this is a Louisville team that was a toe away. And I say a toe away from winning a state title last year. A lot of that team is back. Jernigan is still an excellent running back, and Poplarville is a champ, and they still have Ty Keys. So, little concerned about that, but I will not be surprised with any of these teams. I do think at the top, I think those are the two teams we will see in Starkville, Columbia and Kosciuszko. I mean, that's the pick that I have, but I will not be surprised if Pass Christian's there, or Corinth. So, again, so much fun with 4A, and I'm glad my team's not in 4A. So,
yeah, and Pass Christian they're 11-1, guys.
Yeah,
11-1 on the season, and they're sitting there in last. And Louisville is the team that beat Kosciuszko. The only team Kosciuszko has rolled through everybody. Has not really had a close game besides Louisville. And I mean, Choctaw County game was close for a little bit, and Kosciuszko pulled away. Other than that, it's not really been close. And Louisville won, and you see what it looks like there. So yeah, that is an interesting model that the computers have. But yeah, 4A, it's going to be exciting to see who comes out of that one, and we have a war there with whoever gets to Starkville. Well, let's give you our Farm Families of Mississippi Player of the Week, because we had a lot, in the playoffs, a lot, the performances, they get turned up. Even, a big game helps you move on. And Farm Families of Mississippi needs farmers. We'll take a look at some of the, honorable mentions before we get to the winner. Cooper Crosby down at Gulfport. He ran the ball 19 times, 193 yards, 3 touchdowns in just 2 quarters. Pretty good there. Someone that Jared Shaw saw at Germantown, Nia Johnson. He ran it 21 times, 232 yards, and 5 touchdowns. One of the guys we love over in Charleston, Marcus Flowers Jr., 8 carries, 178 yards, 4 touchdowns. On defense, he got an interception. He also helped convert 3 2-point conversions. Cade Massey, quarterback over at Nanawaga, they were in a battle with Lumberton in that ball game. Cade Massey goes 6 out of 10. With 3 touchdowns, 153 yards passing. He ran the ball 15 times, 91 yards for a touchdown, 244 total yards. And then you had Caden Wade for Kosciuszko, had a great game, 13 out of 20, passing 187 yards and 2 touchdowns. He ran the ball 11 times for 67 yards and a touchdown. That's 254 yards. But our Farm Families of Mississippi Player of the Week is someone that we talked about in the previous episode from Hancock County, Kyson Canan. Listen to these type numbers. It is 15 out of 25 for 165 yards, 2 touchdowns passing, 33 carries for 189 yards and 1 touchdown for a total of 354 yards in Hancock's big win over West Jones. So Kyson Canan is going to be the Farm Families of Mississippi Player of the Week. Guys, anything stand out about any of those performances?
Well, they're all impressive because it's the playoffs, and a lot of these kids will not play football again at this level. Some of them will never play at any level. We talk about that all the time. And this is the rawest form left of football. And look, hats off to that young man and all these young men. That is impressive, especially in the playoffs, because look, man, it's do or die for everybody right now. And there's that sense of urgency. So, to come out and put up big numbers like that's very impressive.
Yeah, agreed. Had to have the mental mindset to be able to come out and perform like that is impressive. And Kyson Canan is a player that I've been high on all season, and I think that he would have been more in talk for Mr. 6A football if Hancock would have had a better season. But he's a remarkable athlete down there for Mike King's team.
Yeah, so congratulations. We'll get up with him, try and get him his Farm Families of Mississippi Player of the Week shirt. Got to say a big thank you to T3 Global Projects. They specialize in artificial turf athletic field installations for schools, communities, and other professional organizations. Their professional services, they create fields built specifically for the desired sport, the desired climate in the area, and capable of being maintained with simple maintenance solutions year round. That's T3 Global Projects. Well, That's a wrap for us here on this episode. Next time you'll see us or listen to us, we'll be talking about 3A and 2A. So for our entire crew, Breck Riley, Brandon Davis, Jared Schott, signing off here on the Varsity Voices podcast, presented by C Spire.